Hey guys, Liz Stapleton from elizabethstapleton.com, and in this video I'm going to be talking about 5 different blog posts that you can throw together super quickly that'll help you drive traffic. Because most people know that consistency is the key to blogging success, but some weeks it's harder than others to stick to your blogging schedule, especially, in 2020 with the world the way it is. In the past, you may have just missed a post, but if you've done that, you've likely found it easier to skip posts in the future. So to help you avoid missed self-imposed deadlines, in this video, you're going to learn about 5 different kinds of posts that are super quick to put together and publish. Think of them as the blogging versions of the meals you keep in the freezer. So first is a roundup of your own content. A roundup of your own content can not only be really fast to put together, but can also help you get more eyeballs on that content. So here's sort of the recipe, if you will, of a roundup of your own content. First you want to do is choose a category on your site. Your blog post should fall into various categories. If not, then I have a free blog structure blueprint that I think you should check out that will be linked to below. Pick a category. It could be your favorite or the most popular, what you wish was the most popular, so long as you pick something. And then you want to decide on an angle. So now that you've got a category in mind, you need to decide on an angle for the roundup. So if you're a food blogger, maybe you chose chicken dinners, and the angle could be like chicken dinners that are ready in 30 minutes. Or, maybe you're a personal finance blogger and it's, the best frugal living post for cutting costs as a homeowner. So, whatever it is, kind of give it the angle that's going to tie those posts together besides just the category. And then you need to go through and actually pick your posts. And you probably already had an idea of what they would be in general when you were deciding on the topic. And you don't need a ton. So this doesn't need to be an epic, super long roundup post. I would recommend a minimum of 3, and I'd probably do no more than 7. Like 5's a good amount. I've done lots of those before. Simply because the more you include, the longer it'll take to write the post. And, odd numbers tend to do best when it comes to writing listicles, which is pretty much what this is. So then you need to write your roundup post. And your roundup post should consist of an introduction, each of your posts as a subheading, and then a conclusion. The introduction is just like any other introduction you would do for a blog post. And then each post is going to be a subheading, and you want to include really an introduction to the post and then just a call to action. Like 1 paragraph's fine. And then the conclusion. So just a sentence or 2 that explains, what was included in the post and how the reader benefited from checking those out. All right, so that is the first suggested kind of quick blog post recipe. The second one is to answer one specific question. This post is likely the shortest of all the sort of freezer meal posts, if you will, but it's still super helpful to your audience, and it can be good for SEO as well. The only thing you need is a good question to answer. So finding your question. So whether it's a question you've gotten from readers, either in an email or comments or as part of a dialogue on social media, if you're coming up empty on a good question, think of one you needed an answer to when you first started in whatever it is you blog about. So, going back to our food blogger example, what is the right temperature to cook a baked potato? Okay. Like when you first started cooking, that was probably a question you had. For a personal finance blogger, do I need to keep a balance on my credit card for a good credit score? So those are just some ideas of just one question and then answer the question. It may seem obvious, but there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. First, you want to make sure you answer the question as completely as possible. Explain each and every step in detail and make sure there was no possible confusion. You want to also make sure that you're answering what's actually behind the question. So for example, the question, was the right temperature to cook baked potato, likely also needs to know for how long to cook it. You want to make sure they stab it with a fork to avoid the potato exploding in the oven. You also likely have a few tips on how to make it the best tasting baked potato ever. Put all that into your post. So when I say answer the question, I mean answer every part of the question that may not be obvious from the question itself. Now, I will say the one time you want to avoid this kind of post if you're trying to get something out quickly is if you don't actually already know the answer inside and out. If you have to do research to fully answer the question, pick a different question. Okay, so the third quick post to get out is hosting a guest post. A guest post can be a great way to get something published, primarily because you aren't doing the writing. Additionally, it automatically motivates the writer to share their guest posts. So the thing you have to look out for when it comes to these is avoiding spammy guest posts. So you want to make sure you're working with a legitimate blogger. You also should consider giving the blogger guidelines for the guest post. How long you expect it to be, how many times they can link to their own content, if they can include affiliate links or not. and making sure they give you a bio and a headshot and sort of the link for their CTA. Those should give you something to start with, but you may have stylistic requirements as well. It just kind of depends. But giving them some guidelines so they know what they should be giving you, and it makes it easier for them to write, but also makes it easier for you to then get it published. All right. Where to find potential guest posters? Kind of depends. I know I see calls for guest posters in Facebook groups a lot, in quality blogging Facebook groups. So you could always look there. And then once you sort of have that guest post, all you have to do to get it published is, read through, make any edits, adjust add in any affiliate links to stuff you're an affiliate for, make sure the links to their sites work, include a featured image, and you're done. So it can be pretty quick. All right, the fourth sort of quick post recipe is to update an old post. So if you've been blogging for any amount of time, then chances are you have an old blog post that could benefit from being updated. Not only because you may have more information or knowledge, but just because you're probably a better writer than you were at the beginning, right? The more you write, the better you get. If you're not, I know for me personally, when I look at some earlier posts, and I don't even mean like 2014 when I started blogging, I could be like a year ago. I cringe sometimes. So you're constantly becoming a better writer. So keeping content up to date and expanding it can increase, your rankings in terms of search engine optimization, meaning better potential for more eyeballs on your site. So now that we've established that older posts to update is a great way to kind of keep things going when you're having a rough week, I do want to warn you that if your permalink structure on your site includes the date, meaning the URLs look something like sitename.com/date/postname, you'll want to avoid the strategy of updating an old post. Not that you wouldn't update it, but you wouldn't republish it, because republishing it would then change the date, and then you're going to have a broken link. You'll have to redirect it. I mean, it's not like impossible. It just requires more steps. It's always good to update old posts just for SEO, but in terms of republishing it so that you have something live to go in your editorial calendar, it's a little bit different. Okay. And then finally, the last sort of quick to put together post recipe is the behind the scenes post. So while this strategy isn't one I'd recommend doing often, just like we all enjoy behind the scenes featurettes on movies, your readers will likely enjoy a little behind the scenes view of your blog. A few ideas on things you could write about could be, your process for coming up with blog post ideas, or photos or video of what your workspace looks like. Share what you love and hate about blogging, why it means so much when readers comment or email you, and your goals with your blog. Don't make it too self-centered, right? You're sharing your goals, right? But you should be including goals you have for your audience as well. Like you might have a goal to get into Mediavine. But you can turn that into wanting to be able to reach and help more readers while still being able to support yourself and the cost of running your blog. So incorporate readers in your goal and your journey, and they will be more invested in your success. So that's it. There is one more thing to skip, to hit publishing sooner on a blog post, I will say. So this is just a tip, just so you can get the post out and you're not kind of in a backlog. Skip social media promotion, right? So if you don't have to create 5 pins for Pinterest and a Twitter graphic and a Facebook graphic and social media copy, you can probably publish your post a lot faster. And the beauty of blogging is you can always go back and do those later when you have time. You can always go back and better promote that later. So I just kind of want to add that, like, hey, to get stuff out faster, skip this. But those are the 5 templates to get blog posts out quickly. So create a roundup of your own posts, answer one specific question, post a guest post, refresh an old piece of content, and share some scenes, behind the scenes of your blog. If you have any questions about putting these posts together or anything else I covered, let me know with comments. If there's a video you'd like to see me put together, also let me know that too. And I hope you have a great day.